Hello everyone, and welcome to a game called Sugar and Massacre, a quick look. A visual novel currently in development by Yuri, which is just a small development company. But this game, I saw them on Twitter, and I thought I'd give this game a look. It's currently available on itch.io. It's completely free to play, at least this part is. When the game fully releases, who knows, but right now, let's get into it. It looked pretty interesting. It's got it's supposed to be like a cyberpunk themed kind of game, and those are always really kind of fun, right? Like the setting and stuff like that. Like the Mind's Eclipse kind of thing was like that in a little bit. So let's do that. Here we go. Let's start it right now. When I woke up, I was all alone. The room was suddenly silent. Was it because of what I didn't see? Or because I couldn't conceive what had just happened? I don't think I'll ever figure that out. Why was I so afraid but at the same time couldn't feel anything at all? What caused this immense pain? Whatever it was back then. It never left me. Ooh. Countdown to something. Oh. Shit, fucking fuck, shit, fuck. This game has strong language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. She spat out curses like it somehow patched over her injury. Her back hurt like hell, but she had no time to collect herself. Taking care to not make things worse, she leaned towards the wall and took one last look around. Her enemy was gone. For now. In her cruise through the late-night streets, she somehow managed to ruin some of the gear that she'd brought along. With only seconds to take essentials with her, her rush must have caused some stuff to break. Tonight turned out to be a bad one for hunting. She kept cursing under her breath as she started to stumble forward. This would be her last attempt to fix the device she had brought. What good would it be if it was just a piece of junk anyway? Useless against whom she had just fought off, in any case. Keeping this in mind, she didn't bother picking up the scraps and instead made sure no critical evidence was left behind. Her phone started buzzing, but she proceeded to ignore whoever was calling her and try to remember the road she just took to this place. If people out in the open were to see her like this, there would be questions, no doubt. She was sure of it, and she wouldn't dare to risk it just yet. Taking one last look back, she hoped whatever damage she managed to inflict on her enemy was enough to scare them off, for now. Just one block from her destination, she started to worry a lot more over the person she had to leave just a few minutes ago. It was an emergency, sure, but she was uncertain if the man in question would accept that or see it as an attempt at a bad apology. In truth, Sabrina just had a habit of getting worried sick over small, insignificant things and expecting the worst in any situation she was thrown into. As her worries started to kick in, a bigger sense of shame began crawling over her injured back. She hid her eyes and cast her face down as she passed through the entrance door to the club. Oh, nice. Nice music. I gotta turn that volume way down. Hey, there you are. She waved off the speaker, not slowing down as she went towards the stairs. He's been yelling for you since you ran off. Speaking of which, what the heck happened? An emergency. I swear I didn't intend to just... Sabrina, get your sorry ass up here now. I will kick you out as soon as I have my legs back. Damn. Leave him in the middle of his potty break. I could throw them on you too. Don't tempt me. So help me God, I will. The dancer she was talking to giggled. This kind of banter was new to even the regular workers. Taking one last breath, Sabrina collapsed into the wall next to the dancer. The last of her energy was spent on her urgent walk back. Oh fuck, Sabrina, are you alright? It's okay, I just had one hell of a blow at my back. Hurts like a bitch, I'll tell you. I'll just crawl. It's alright. Ow, fuck! The dancer's attempt to help Sabrina up just made things worse. She reeled away in surprise from the reflexive punch. Crap, sorry. Q. Is that Q? What is that? What is that? No? I'll deal with this myself. The dancer got back up and checked the rest of her body. She dragged herself towards the stairs. There's no blood, at least. Do you need help up the stairs? No, just go help Yorn before he loses his mind. I'll take the way through the ground level instead. Alright, I'll come check on you later, okay? Distant yelling could be heard from the room that Bjorn was stuck in. The dancer was already gone to aid him as Sabrina slowly but surely got one leg at a time on the stairs she was crawling up. Sooner than she knew, she was face down on her pillow, embracing a very much needed rest with her tired arms. Time passed by, not that she was keeping track, but Sabrina had gotten plenty of time to rest, patch up, and start to rework her damaged gear. Currently, she was trying to figure out whether to trash the thing completely or to recycle it and have it be an automatic bottle opener. Alternatively, a knockoff Lelu, but only the handheld model type. Lost in her thoughts, she didn't notice the noise made when Bjorn opened her door. She did, however, notice the scent of fresh food. So I completely forgot the name of the place you mentioned the other day, but I went ahead and took a roll to find everyone some grub. Tossed her a box. I hope you like fried rice, because they got the order wrong and I refuse to pay for that kind of service and decided to just leave with the food instead. You're the ideal customer. Ideal asshole customer, that is. She opened the box with a fork in hand and stuffed her face. Thanks, BJ. He gave her a perplexed look and gently said, don't ever call me that again. Bjorn closed the door after him and placing his own dinner on the small table next to it. He wanted to see what Sabrina was up to, so he leaned over next to her. She almost didn't notice him suddenly being right beside her on the floor. She pretended not to be flustered as she focused on her work. Bjorn didn't even try to understand the mechanics of what she was fiddling with, so he instead took note to her posture. How's your back? Are you doing better? I'm fine now. Thank fuck. The one I was chasing is the last person I want to mess with, that's for sure. Was it a witch? Sabrina sighed. Yeah, it was. What? In the city? That's not normal, is it? Are we even safe here if they manage to... Don't worry, she's the only one, and no, others aren't coming. She put down the food and leaned over to grab a worn-out book. She's a special case, this one. Lucky for me that she hates her family. Yorn calmed down a bit, but was still worried. What do you mean? Do you know this witch? I haven't heard you mention her before at all. That's because I haven't. She flipped open the book, skimming through the pages. I've only had my suspicions before I got here, but they've been confirmed now that I finally met her. She ain't on anyone's side, I don't think at least. She just has her own motives. She pointed her finger on one of the pages and leaned towards the book toward Bjorn. Here. This was me way back when I just started out. I wrote down things I heard others say, and even back then I heard talks of this rebel witch. She wasn't from any of the tribes I'd been through so far. Why write this down in this massive book, though? The recording device I had was broken, plus it would cause the witches to notice me. She closed the book. This baby here is one of their books, actually. I heard it can do all this crazy shit, like one of their ancestors used ink made from his own body to write in it, so that he could make scrolls and inject spells directly into paper that was infused with the ashes of an old witch. Or maybe it was to create worlds, I don't know. So this book is made from a human? That's messed up. Again, she put away the book. That's just what I've heard. It doesn't do shit when I write in it, so I decided to just use it as a regular notebook. Because I use ink I make myself, they can't trace it, especially not here. Yorn remained just as confused as before. But what do you know about this rebel witch? Does she know too much? Sabrina was lost in thought for a bit. This was my first encounter with her. I honestly only managed to track her by complete chance. Usually my radar would have noticed this miles away, but it only reacted for a split second and the noise was gone the instant I was out the door. So, what does this mean? It means this witch manages to keep herself cloaked at all times, but let it slip for a brief moment. The second I saw her, she didn't move an inch. She just stared at me like she was too scared to say anything or to attack. I assumed the worst once she stepped forward, so I shot immediately. She looked over at the book. I suspect, it's all I can do, but from all this... I don't think she wants to hurt me. She could have killed me in an instant, but she didn't. All she threw at me was self-defense, and she was gone. Bjorn scratched his beard. Do you think she's trying to get in touch with you? I doubt that's possible. She may just be too scared to do anything, but... Sabrina took another bite from her food, chewing slowly as if to make sense of her thoughts going all over her mind. I think she wants to help. Oh no, the time's counting down. The girl who just attacked took a deep breath as she held her shaking hand against the open wound on her abdomen. I like the artwork. It looks really cool, actually. Blood was still pouring out. The wound wasn't as big as she expected it to be, but it hurt worse than she imagined as well. She had to hurry back. However, she couldn't use anything to teleport. The best thing was to cover her wound with her coat and walk to the back entrance to the room. She took off her heels to make the walk back less uncomfortable. With a big breath, she leaned against the wall to get back on her feet. The short trip made her nervous. The silence of the city streets didn't comfort her. It only meant that at any moment she might have to prepare herself for another fight. She couldn't defend herself when she was like this. At least she knew her own people wouldn't come here. They wouldn't dirty their hands in a city like this, not even to look for their own precious daughter. That's exactly why she came here in the first place. Little did she know that was exactly what the witch hunter had been thinking too. Now they had met for the first time. The last thing Ella wanted to do was harm the hunter, but with self-defense in mind, she was left with little choice. As long as there were no mortal wounds, it was alright. However, Ella was not as well off. The hunter was out to kill, she knew it, but she still felt more pity for her than hostility. She wished it was possible to aid the hunter, but the chance of her agreeing to get help from someone who just might stab her in the back, especially a witch of all things, was bordering on the non-existent. There was little hope. Even after their first encounter, though, she didn't lose hope completely. There was still a chance. Even if it meant Ella would not come out alive from it, there was still a chance. A grueling walk later, she was finally back at her hotel room. As soon as she stepped inside, she threw herself into the restroom to patch up. She ripped off her ruined dress and took a good look at her wound. Oh wow. It wasn't that deep, at least. She started to put together a sedative using what little she had in her box of powders. Jesus, look at those muscles. Man, that abdomen. Luckily, she hadn't used any of it until now, and she had yet to try the local alternatives. Do I have to use a tooth? She wondered to herself. No. Those were for extreme cases of self-defense only. She didn't know when she'd be desperate enough to use them. She took a piece of nail instead, turned it into fuel for her powder mix, and put the resulting liquid on a damp towel. It hurt like a bitch, but in a matter of seconds, the pain turned into a gentle, soothing feeling in her body. When she was finished, she washed the cloth off and patted the excess blood off of her body. She was about to collapse. Just as she was about to leave, here, let me lick those wounds for you, Daj. He was not here. He'd never be. Before letting her mind wander along a dark path, she heard a knock on the door. Who could possibly be looking for her now? Was she followed? With silent, hesitant steps, she grabbed a robe on her way over to the entrance door. In a small panic, she retraced her steps back 30 minutes. Did she drop something? Did anyone see? Did she make a noise that could have alarmed someone nearby? Nothing. There was no clues to a fight having taken place anywhere she stepped. She was too careful to let anything slip. At the front door, she looked out onto the people. What she saw perplexed and alarmed her. A Lelu, one that worked as a servant of sorts at this hotel. I assume Lelu was like a robot of some sort? Could be wrong. Ella couldn't muster up the courage to ask what the Lelu wanted. Well, eventually they spoke up. Ella, there's a delivery for you here. May I open the door? The gentle, soft voice calmed Ella down, but she was too apprehensive to open. Who on earth would send her anything at all? She stopped to think how to reply. Who was it from? Out of respect for your other guest's privacy, I ask that you do not force me to yell at your door. And Lelu gently hinted that they wanted to see face to face, to see her all bruised up. This was bad. You don't have to let me in, I simply wish to hand it over to you. This wasn't going to end well until she had to open the door. Ella took a breath and gently did. Once it was slightly ajar, then Lelu put a hand on the edge of the door and peeked in, barely exposed. It took nearly all of Ella's strength, however, to not be captivated by the eyes that were now looking at her. She had never seen such beautiful eyes, especially on someone who wasn't human. She couldn't help but be distracted enough to miss the Lelu placing a small tray right at her feet. On it were some medical supplies, bandages, an assortment of snacks, and 2 cans of some unidentifiable brand of iced tea. Wait, medical supplies? Then they must know I'm injured. Did you? I don't wish to upset you, but I happened to see you struggling to your room just a few minutes ago. I know you're not from here, so you don't have the medical insurance to get treated, but I wanted to see that you were all right, or if you needed assistance. I was slightly baffled. Where were the questions about how she got injured, who took part, and why she was bruised up at all? Hey, some things, you better not ask questions about. Instead, she was greeted with a soft-toned, worried Lelu who just wanted to check on her. Was this even included in the hotel service, I wonder? I am fine, for now. The Lelu showed sincere care, but was unconvinced of Ella's words. It is not part of our policy to intrude on any customer's business, so this is out of my own personal concern. You are in no way required to give me personal information, but if I can help you in any way, please let me know. Perhaps the Lelu could help. Ella took a few seconds to think things through. Ultimately, she didn't see any reason to not take her up on this offer. She looked back and took a deep breath. I am being followed by people I do not wish to ever see again. If anyone, absolutely anyone, asks me personally, do not lead them to my room. Please, I can't. That's all right, Ella. I will happily oblige. Please don't push yourself. Before getting too worked up, Ella was thankfully interrupted by the Lelu. She sighed and managed a gentle, pained smile. Thank you. Oh man, those eyes are pretty. Have a good night, Ella. While resting up, Ella looked around in some of the books she had brought with her. Most were history records, birth dates of ancestors, key events in their lives, and so on. Nowhere in these books were any witch hunters mentioned. She wanted to know where they originated from, where the one she encountered earlier had her heritage and motivations, and where the others would be. The only thing she could find so far was the rare mentions of sudden deaths of hundreds of witches, and on the next page, nothing. The witches were always very keen on getting their whole history on paper. Why did such a seemingly huge thread just get a side note in the books? Eventually, Ella got bored of reading history books and looked over at the fairy tales instead. She brought some of her favorites, one where a lonesome, frail woman was trapped in a magical cabin but eventually found her freedom as a spirit caught in the northern lights. Another was about a small rabbit who had ears unlike her other sisters, so she escaped to the free lands of the forest. Finally, the one she was now reading was about a foolish boy who thought he had the world in his hands. Now that she read it again, the events sounded eerily similar, if heavily romanticized, to one that dated back over 300 years before. Alas, the Joker kept fighting in vain. For the almighty witches he had to bow. The boy would swallow his pride and pain in the land ruled by the witches now. Nobody left to laugh at but him. One thing left to do was to atone. His hope, his joy, his light grew dim. For the rest of his life, he was now alone. Now is the time for our blessing to spread. Hear us, O spirits, hear out our cry. Ocean always is blue, sky is now red. New shall be born as the old shall die. There was a typo there, but I'll let it slide. Oh no. 3 days. Oh, a little over 3 days. Ooh, who's this? She hadn't fallen asleep, yet she felt like she'd just woken up by an early morning. The guy over at the desk assumed she was still zoned out, so he kept busy by the computer. Noise surrounded Dee Dee. It seemed like anywhere she could point in the room was the direction of some loud rumble. To her left were the neighbors bantering. To her right, the rest of the people she lived with were having a party. Above was one of those bi-weekly bondage meetings the guy from upstairs were having, and under her bed could be made out the ruckus of rushed midnight dinners being prepared. She wasn't used to being surrounded by silence. It wasn't what she was raised in. Of course, that didn't mean she never wanted some peace and quiet. It's just that silence was impossible where she lived. What she needed most of all was to occupy her mind with something other than static dead noise. She decided to pick up her phone to see what people were saying online. Going down the rabbit hole that is Reddit. Just the regular. Some left comments on Dee Dee's recently posted selfie. Some stranger had sent the usual impromptu messages / pictures, and the rest were news about the recent colony landing on the moon. Sorry, Deeds, what's your password again? She tilted the phone down. I changed it. Sorry. Oh, okay, I'll just go use mine then, the guy said as he started to walk out her room. Has somebody been looking stuff up on your computer too, or is it just me? The guy stopped and scratched his beard. Oh, no, nothing like that. Worst I got was a warning from the Federals that I was browsing inappropriate content. I was looking at pictures of chili sauce. Like, what the fuck? Nothing like weirdly personal messages from someone around? Nope, nothing like that. Why? Someone harassing you? Dee Dee looked up at the ceiling. Hey, just a thought. It's fine. I'm just curious. Don't worry about me. I'm just asking silly stuff. Well, the guy shrugged. I'll be off to my room. Talk to you later. Let me know if I should kick someone's ass for you. As he closed the door, the loud noise from outside was gone in an instant. She didn't move for a while. There was too much on her mind this evening. The lights in the city were built to have it always be a blue night sky above, accompanied by the bright neon glow of the streets and the artificial auroras above. It was always very calming for Dee Dee. Being a nocturnal animal at heart, she was at her most restless when it was dark, but ever since she moved to the city, she felt as if she was just never tired. Like there was something missing. Something wasn't quite right. Meeting all these new people every other day helped. Some new face that ended up staying around a bit longer than she anticipated. She didn't mind the company for the most part, but none of them ever seemed intended on getting too attached to Dee Dee. Nobody clicked with her in the city. She liked to think of herself as fairly easy to get along with, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what was wrong. Having no intentions on leaving the city, all she could do was keep waiting to see if someone more interesting would come around. Not necessarily in terms of love or sex. She's seen all there was when it came to the latter. As for love, well, it wasn't as easy. Sex is easy, love is hard, as they say. This was enough pondering for Dee Dee tonight. So she went out the door to see what was causing the noise this evening. She was greeted with way too much rumble at once. Most of the people were stuck by the bar, and as she walked over to her couch, she noticed it was stuffed with people. People who were not allowed to sit there. When did they even get here? Hey peeps, sorry, but this chick doesn't want to be cooped up at the lounge zone, so scram. She was greeted with a drunken wave from her friend and a huge snore from a stranger. Well, I warned you. Dee Dee lifted her leg up and pushed the unresponsive stranger to the floor. Didn't even seem to wake them up. She took a deep breath and sat down next to her friend, who had managed to lay with her whole body upside down on the couch. She adjusted her face so she wouldn't mumble against the edge of the pillow she had drilled herself into. Okay, there we go. What does that say? Something saft. I don't know what that even says. So you finally woke up. Dee Dee threw her a quizzical look. I wasn't asleep. Why? There was someone who asked for you. You didn't answer when they knocked on your door. I didn't hear any knocking. You were in there for hours, girl. I was gonna go in myself, but too busy lounging around trying to wish all the alcohol away. Yeah, it's fine. I'll try to find them later. Who was it? The drunken girl turned her whole body towards Dee Dee. Lelu. Company incoming. Huh? You should She'd have said more, but that was all she managed to get out before she noticed the brick wall of a human being next to her. Is there room for me there, miss? She gave the man a quick glance. It looked like he was dressed for a fancy party rather than the trash bin he'd wandered into. Tonight, however, Dee Dee wasn't in the mood to befriend strangers. Sorry, I'm waiting for my buddy to come over. Well, then I guess we won't be hanging out here in this crowd for long anyway. What he said weirded her out, to say the least. So, Dee Dee felt obliged to be polite, so she turned to him for a brief moment. What's a place like this doing around a guy like you? Haven't you seen you here before? Oh, well, you see, he moved ever so slightly close to her. I was invited. By you. Huh? Yes, there was this delightful Lelu that sent me a message to come here, so I... Wait. Shit, what did you say about the one who asked for me earlier? She cut off the man abruptly and turned to her friend. It wasn't Lelu. Don't remember her name. What did she... The man to Dee Dee's left must have been feeling neglected. Since he started walking towards the couch to take a seat next to her, she was quick to react. Sorry, but I don't think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I never told any Lelu to go fishing for a dilf to bring back. Well, that's silly. She gave me the address to this place. Sure, she failed to mention the extra company, but hey, I'm always down for a show if you want. Oh my god, just get away from my couch. I have no idea what the hell is going on. Go find someone else to rub your cheeks on. She pushed the man away and told him off. He gave her a puzzled look and started to hunt around elsewhere, clearly annoyed over what had just happened. Dee Dee, her drunk friend called for her. I don't remember. I remember what she looked like, not really at least. What do you remember then? She had some cloth-looking stuff over her head. It was an actual cloth, though. She didn't wear much else other than that, I think. She was so pretty, though. Oh my god. No matter how much Dee Dee thought back, she couldn't think of any Lelu she knew who would look like that. This is really messing with my steez. Damn it, I gotta go think for a bit. My steez. Dee Dee left her friend and went straight back to her room, but before she walked in, she was stopped by the girl on the couch. She left something, I think. No, yeah, she definitely left a note or something. A note? Huh. Closing the door behind her, she now understood what her friend talked about. On the floor, just in front of her feet, was a small piece of folded paper. How did I not notice this on my way out? She picked up the paper, but stopped before unfolding it. An immediate sense of unease swept over her. She knew this would make her uncomfortable. It was something she could never run away from. By looking at what was hidden in this paper, she would be forced to accept it. What does it say? Where's my glasses? Oh, that didn't help. Oh no! The time is counting down. Construct. Visualize. Shit. You know El Shaddai Construct is still banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! What the hell, man? Soft. How many years has it been? Cold. Liquid. The words are getting bigger. Warm. Vision. Awake. Faint words echoed inside the girl's pod, or perhaps it was in her mind. About he's so dry air. Heavy movement. Voices. Noise. As her eyes slowly became used to the dry air surrounding her, she decided to open them. Hello? In front of her stood a couple of fashionably dressed people. They look really nice. Oh my god. I'm not reading that. Why do you do this to me? Silver, number 02281, Alvalmina, Tarkastuxin, Mivan. Jad Keaton, Suni Tillman, Mukaseti, Tasa Sensi Jan Eta Vitalis, Se Tavanamasin, Huain Isin. They were speaking a language he didn't understand. Now I can barely read it. Mudamix, Antavi Fisiasen, Tutki Muksensa, Enen Kujatka, Mihinkan Moon. Koskahonit on Velkain, Varatuja, Sila Joku I Purkano, Niden Vime, Latista I Melila, I Ole Tila Jotun. The girl didn't move an inch, feeling the people suddenly noticing her questioning gaze at them. Han Ipu Somi? No response. How about English then? Finally. The girl seemingly understood the words, but did not answer. Oh, damn it. It seems like we had the wrong language selection. Kindly note that down so somebody can look that up later. What language was that anyway? I'm actually curious. The girl wasn't looking at them anymore, but was instead fixated on rubbing her hands together, checking her nails, and keeping her head down. The people in front of her had no clue what was going on in her head. Hey lady, can you speak up, please? The man waved his hand as he leaned down to catch her eye. Hello? I can hear you, the girl said, looking more annoyed than before. She kept her head down. Both the people sighed as they started to write down notes again. Well, no issues in the vocal section, at least. Physically, there's no problem, except for, well, the height thing. We can't put her back in again to fix so we'll just have to deal with it. Why, how tall is she? The lady talking looked over at her colleague. Also, until I say otherwise, English only, and I mean all talk. She will dress like we do, so open up the closet for her and let her choose what she likes. 02281 will, like all of us, have her own account with enough credit to last her indefinitely. Is her restroom ready now? Yes, it was finished 3 hours ago. Perfect. Alright, so. She clapped her hands together, causing her notepad as she exhaled. You and I will have other business to attend to. We will get back to where we were started this morning and finish that up. Interesting. She starts to walk out and points to her left by the doors. Number 02281, there are towels for you here. Your room is on the one to the left with your name on it. Shouldn't we give her the introduction? The man asked as they followed her lead. No point. She needs to snap out of it before she gets any assistance. Just leave her be. Letty ignored his concerns and, taking 2 steps out, they left the girl alone. The door closed. The room was silent. Cold. She'd been chilly ever since she got out of the pod. Her first instinct was to grab 3 huge towels, wrap them around her, and get out of the room she was in. She stepped outside only to be greeted by white walls. Whoa. Very sterile. White. Endless white. Shiny, cold walls, white lights, black signs, everything else pure white. She saw her silhouette reflected vaguely in front of her. It was an odd sight to her. Looking for her room, she started to walk and saw a sign with her name on it. Her number. 02281. The door asked for a fingerprint. The girl did as instructed and in no time was inside of her room. Black walls, black sheets, white desk, black door. The room was very empty. One stuffed closet and the desk had a stack of notes and a notepad placed on it. They were a mess. She decided that before she would take a shower and put some clothes on, she would place the notepad more neatly on the desk. As she did this, she noticed a remote control on there as well. Pushing one of the few buttons changes one of the walls into a window. Ooh. The night is dark, but the northern lights shine a dim light onto her bed. It's beautiful. No need to change that. Wondering what lies behind the black door, she walks inside and finds herself standing inside a bathroom prepped with a newly built bathtub, a separate shower, a sink, and a toilet. All white except for the framing around the mirror. She walks towards it. How would someone describe this feeling? The girl had no idea. She came out of a pod already knowing about what life is, what the air was, what a human was, and what food was. She already knows about media, culture, what country she is in, what language she speaks, and how to use a toilet. She knows her age, what the zodiac signs are. She could recite the first 3 lines of the Bible and knows how to make a braid. She was asked to create a bud of roses made out of marzipan. She could. If someone asked her to paint her nails, she would make the polish from scratch. She was born a genius. A versatile, perfect portrait of the ideal human. Yet she's never seen herself in a mirror before. One long shower later, and she was already dressed, ready to go out and explore the rest of the building. Taking the first step outside, she noticed how the hall was now filled with more tall people walking around. They all seemed to pretend the girl did not exist and went on with their work. She decided if it wasn't worth it to get near them, and instead she kept her eye out for a dining hall she'd quickly read about in one of the notes she had received earlier. On her way, she sees the lady from before. She must still be busy. The girl looks at her observantly, but keeps walking forward. Their eyes meet. Number 02281. The lady has a stiff but calm face, looking down and up the girl. Something was bothering her by the look of her subtle expression. Why are you not wearing your heels? Her harsh remark was low in tone, but carried enough edge to make the girl stop and immediately feel uncomfortable. She felt forced to look into the lady's eyes and answer, but did not look up. They were uncomfortable. They should be the correct size, that's odd. I will tell number 00013 to check the size. They are uncomfortable to walk in. It wasn't a matter of incorrect shoe size. Heels suck. I see. Regardless, everyone must wear these shoes. You will have to get used to them. The lady was showing a surprising lack of respect for the girl, considering her usual dignified manner towards the others that came before 02281. Her porcelain skin, almost being as glossy as the white walls, did not redden a bit, even though having a conversation with this girl was clearly making her perturbed. The girl didn't say a word. She was unable to. Didn't feel right. It wasn't. Why do I have to wear those things? Instead of giving an answer, the girl walked the opposite direction of her room and went straight down the hallway. The lady didn't follow her and just talked to herself, deliberately loud enough so the girl could hear. Know your place, number 02281. If it were up to me, you wouldn't even have been woken up in the first place. That's harsh. You know, your heart is as cold as these walls. Maybe colder. A while after a rather long tour solo around the facility, the girl had gathered herself a broader picture of what her home looked like. Probably looked smaller on the outside because of most things were kept under the surface of San Tänne. She had planned to explore the city tomorrow. For today, her plan was to figure out what she wanted that the cafeteria had on offer today, and then sleeping for the first time. Aside from the mirror, sleeping was another thing she had yet to experience. What was happening inside the pod did not count as resting, so to have her own bed was kind of exciting to her. To just, lay down on her back and not stand straight. Oh, what would that feel like? Just as she could see her room, somebody she did not recognize walked out in haste. They were cleaning their hands up from something sticky. For a second, she was scared to walk in. There was no one to talk to here if she felt worried. There was probably no reason to anyway, so she stepped inside, ignoring those thoughts. Whoa. Whoa. Hello. Is that Riki Vika? Ruined. Her room was a mess. On her floor laid all of her clothes, covered in red paint. Her wall had a handwritten message put in one of her channels. Her tablet was bent the opposite direction, leaving it basically broken. The bed was covered in some white powder. It stunk. She reached out to the remote. Know your place, number 02281. If it were up to me, you wouldn't even have woken up in the first place. The glass wall was crushed within seconds. Her sheets were ripped in two and thrown out of the room straight at the wall opposite. Her filthy red clothes followed soon after. The girl couldn't care less about where all the stains ended up. She was in a rage and threw things wherever her arms had the strength to throw them. She went over to her shoes and tore all the ones with heels in two. Using a nearby sharp object, she saw the thinner ones in two and throw them out as well. While being too caught up in this, she almost didn't notice she had cut her right index finger open. She tugged her hair, scratched her scalp so hard she almost started to bleed, and let out one long, muffled scream into her hands. She snapped. Blood. There's too much blood on her hands. She hurries into the bathroom, struggles out of her outfit, washes off the excess filth, and licks her wounds in haste. At this point, she doesn't want to see any face, but she looks up to see her own reflection in the mirror. You know, you may not want to see anybody else, but you will have to look at yourself one day. There's blood on her face, a lot on her hair. She tries to wash it off. It does not come off. Why? Why is her blood stuck in her hair? Why is she being treated like this? She took another shower to wash the filth off. When she was out in her room again, it was now somehow clean. Not a single trace of what looked like just a few minutes ago. Even the sheets were new and put neatly in place. There was a meal placed in her desk next to the new notepad that was there instead of the broken one. And also, a small, round object. It was shining gently, emitting a dim blue light. She walked over and took the ball in her hand. It was soft. She squeezed it very gently. It was like a stress reliever. It was pleasant to touch. As she played around with it in her hand, she could see how it changed its light intensity depending on where she put pressure on it. Squeezing harder made it give out a very slight, gentle, but sharper electric charge. Nothing unpleasant at all. The ball mesmerized the girl. It was calming to touch it. With the lights turned dark, she spent minutes and minutes just staring at the ball. She couldn't believe it. This pathetic, insignificant waste of time was the best thing that had happened to her so far in her life. You know, it's the simplest things in life that are often the most pleasant. Wow. Oh no! It has been said that technology opposes fantasy, magic, and fairy tales. This is easy to believe, seeing how humanity thrives in the glorious ways that science and technology have evolved over the centuries. There seems to be little room for witchcraft compared to the legends you'd read about in books. The stories all amount to the same, being a fairy tale. Current history says otherwise. As it happens, magic and technology aren't so different, more like two sides of the same coin. They exist and work on different levels, while their core is one and the same. That isn't to say, however, that they were always equal. While magic was part of Earth and supported it long before modern age, technology is what pushed us forward and keeps the planet spinning. These two have never been opposing each other, though some believe that they can exist on their own when one or the other might cease to function. Science now reigns supreme, having taken off from when magic stopped serving mankind, yet some who disagree still remain. The witches are far too stubborn to let a changing world interfere with their ancient plans. In the world this story takes place in, the great achievements of science and technology have left little to no room for stories of magic. That's the stuff of romanticized novels and children's books. This is what humans have long thought to be true. In truth, one cannot exist without the other. The invisible bonds between the physical and the spiritual will not allow it. One side of the coin cannot disappear, and one cannot exist by itself. For thousands of years, magic has learned about the world, coaxing it towards developments that wouldn't otherwise be possible. Technology has long been viewed as inferior to magic. Nobody could have imagined it ever achieving what magic could have done. In the town this story plays out, technology has evolved to greatness that is on the same level as magic. In this universe, times are changing. The world is growing. Some humans choose to stay out of either magic or technology. They don't want the two forces to join in harmony. In a world where witches, fairies, and great spirits all exist, there are those who loathe the magic and all spiritual things, so they rebel against one or the other. In a city where technology has blossomed for many years, some want it destroyed for good. In this story, we see all these aspects explored in this city. They all have the good and bad in them. All things have flaws. Humanity certainly does. This is why this story explores this through 5 women. In the grand year of 2102, in the glorious city, San Tänne. May 1st. Support us on Kickstarter. Well, I will hopefully do just that. There's the credits. That was really awesome. I like that. I thought that was really cool. I'm actually really excited for this game to come out. You know, you got kind of like those stories, like, you know, there's gonna be different stories. They might all be, you know, they might all connect at some point. I don't know. But it's really cool, like the cyberpunk technology futuristic thing. You know, like I love like the show like Black Mirror and stuff like that, which is a really cool show. If you've never seen it, it's on Netflix. It's about technology and how like the good and the bad in it. Seems kind of like that in a way, and you know, it looks really interesting. And that's it for Sugar Massacre, and I hope you all enjoyed it as I did. I thought it was pretty cool, honestly. I'm actually excited for this game. I'll link in the description below where you can download it. Twitter links for the developer and Kickstarter links and all that fun stuff. And yeah, keep an eye out on Sugar Massacre coming soon. Have a good day, everybody.